Hello everybody and welcome back to another Shakuhachi video, and today we're going to be going over how do I test out this new flute and well, should I buy it or not, because I don't know what to check for to make sure it's a good flute. And I understand this is a very common question that I get from my students, and I want to showcase this flute today. This is a Gyokusui 1 that I picked up, and I thought that this would be the perfect one to do it because I've only had it for a day and I can kind of take it through the ringer for stuff. One thing I'll just notice or just have you noticed right now is that it's very hot in Japan, so all the flutes are going to play a little bit sharp. So normally I would play along with the drone, but when it's super hot outside like this, you kind of have to assume that your flute can go all the way up to 20 cents sharp, 30 cents sharp, and that's the norm. And so nice thing is that usually when we play with Shakuhachi, we play with koto, and they can make things a little bit sharper for us when that happens. So the first thing that I do is when I see any sort of flute is that I want to check out just the instrument itself. So the first thing is just giving it a perusal on the body of the instrument to check for any hairline cracks, anything that looks a little bit suspicious, right? And also this would be like if it had a middle joint, is the middle joint loose or not? Stuff like that. Is it closing well? And so here I don't see any sort of cracks at all. I see a little bit of a sort of a crack here, but this looks more of like something that happened, when the bamboo was pulled out of the ground, not something that came post. It looks like that's been a crack there for a long time. I checked the inside just to make sure there's no interior cracks from what I can see here. You're not going to be able to see everything on all the details. And whatever. Then I lastly just check the utaguchi, make sure the utaguchi's looking really good, make sure it's sharp. It doesn't seem like there's any kind of strange things that are happening, no crackage. If there's like a different color urushi back here, or if there's something like that, anything that's just weird. So if there's something that strikes your eye as that doesn't look right, you might just want to keep it, be aware of that as you're going and testing out a flute. Then the obvious thing is that the first thing I want to play is Rho. I want to see how this, what this instrument's baseline sound is. So let's go ahead and give this one a Rho. And I'm also kind of moving it around a little bit just to see where it likes to be played. And it seems to be like to be played there the most. And it's nice to have like another flute. If you have a couple other flutes that you play that are also the same size, it's nice to just kind of compare those and see how those feel. And then you can kind of make comparisons of sound, like, oh, this is a deeper sound, this is a darker sound, this is a brighter sound, it's more brilliant, and all of these other things. And start to make a catalog of, what you feel when you're playing it. What does this sound evoke to you, and see if that's what you're looking for. Is that set of words and descriptions what you're looking for in a flute? And a lot of times you can find that out just from playing Rho. Okay, so we figured out, yep, I like Rho. Rho is pretty nice. It's got a lot of sound, it's got a lot of body to it. It's very, very warm. I want to go and I want to check out the rest of the flute now. So now slowly just playing up the flute. It's a good time to check pitch too, see how all the notes are relating to each other. And so I find this flute to be very, very easy to play. I see that the Rho is a very kind of like boisterous note. It's the strongest note on the instrument. But everything else has that ability to push and get a little bit louder. Now I want to play the same thing. I just want to play softer now. And I like the softer sound as well. The softer voice, the tone color doesn't get lost just because I'm playing softer. Nice round, deep, mellow tone. Very, very much like the older style flutes that I personally like that color. So there's that next thing that we would check. Now, a couple areas that we can check afterwards, let's say after we've done that baseline, okay? All of the basic notes are there. Now I want to see how high can the flute go. And so for most people, we're not really hanging out in the third octave that often. So for you, you might have to pull up a fingering chart and check them out. And if you're not used to playing in that upper register, you can't expect to just get all the notes, because if you're not used to doing it, on a new flute, it's going to be even more difficult. But for myself, I do play in those registers quite frequently, so I can check them. And I can say all of the notes are there, and they're very, very easy to play. There are still a couple notes that it's different than how I would normally approach like my other flutes. So that's just something I have to be aware of. Like, okay, this note tends to need this in order to get it to happen, right? And that's not necessarily a negative point. Every single flute is just played differently. So you can't always like approach, like let's say this modern Giatti flute, you can't play it the same way you play an old Jinashi flute. You can't play a 1950s flute the same way you'd play a flute from the 2020 that was just made. Especially you can't play the different makers the same way either. Every flute is going to be a little bit different, and you want to learn and see those eccentricities and see if that change is going to be really difficult, then it might not be the flute for you, right? That might be something that you need to say, I like the flute, but this one area is going to make it really hard for me to play all the music that I love to play. So we just checked out that third octave register. It looks great. Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to check out some of the alternate fingerings. So for example, one of the most important ones, the Chimeri Ru fingering. And this one sounds great. No problem there. That works. Now let's check the alternate Chimeri Ru fingering, which is from the bottom hole, half hole there. And I think my lips are a little bit too close to the Utsuguchi, so I'm going to move it up a little bit. And then I'm checking that Su Daimeri too at the same time. And there's the Ro Daimeri as well, so those are all pretty easy to play. I'm going to check the alternate Re-Meri fingering now. That's working out just fine, no problems there. And then I'm going to check Koro Koro. That works fine. Horo Horo. The Gonoha, or the Shigonoha fingering as well, to get that alternate E flat. So this flute has everything there. If there's a couple other things I would want to check, I would basically just check the Uha Goro. And that just works out fine. Maybe U and U Daimeri. Okay, all those things work out great. So then one of the things that I do, and I picked this up from one of my teachers who recommended that when you're trying out a flute that you should really play through this song. And so he recommended that we play through Itsuki no Komori Uta. So, and there's a bunch of reasons why you can do this actually. And the main reason is that you actually get most of the main notes, like the Chimeri, the Tsumeri, and you even go up into the higher register, and you can hear the what's a good way of saying this? Like you can hear like how the flute can flow from one note to the next note. So here's the Itsuki no Komori Yuta. I just noticed there that Tsumeri was hard to get that first time, so let's go back and check it again. So just use our air. So this passes that test. The notes are really, really easy to play, super smooth, no problem whatsoever. Now, what I do when I'm looking for my own personal flutes is I also have a selection of works that I like to play to take the flute through the ringer, as it were. So one of the pieces I like to play, and this might not work for you because you don't know these pieces, but these should be pieces that you are like really, really comfortable with, and ones that you, when you play it on a flute, you'd be able to say like, yeah, this flute fits me really well. So it's almost like the pieces that fit you. See if you can play them on the flute and see how it works. Now, of course, if you say like, well, I always play such and such piece on my 2.4, okay, well, that's not going to work for a 1.8. What are the such and such pieces that you play on your 1.8 currently that you want to play on this one to give it a shot? So I'm going to play Akita Obako. I'm going to do two minyo pieces. I'm going to do a honkyoku piece, and then I'm going to do a contemporary piece, and I'll tell you why I choose them and why I want to look at them. So starting with Akita Obako. The reason why I choose this one is because it's got a lot of power behind it, and it's all of just the basic kari notes, ro, tsu, re, chi, ri, ro. So I only do like the first two lines of it too. So I can already say there, it's like, yeah, it's got a lot of power, but some of the notes stick out a little bit. So for me, like that ro and chi sometimes can stick out a little bit too much, but that's not the biggest issue in the world for me, because that's just something I can learn on the flute. I can always hold back a little bit on the ro and the chi to make the sounds a little bit more smooth. So we're not looking for things like this has to just be the perfect flute. We're looking for eccentricities, because we already know that the flute can do everything, right? We already see that it's got all the notes, it can do all the fingerings. Now how am I going to play this flute? What does this flute need for it to sound the best, or for it to match with me the best? That's what we're looking at as we're going through and playing this flute. Okay, so now we're going to look at kin kira kin, and I'm only going to do just a couple lines of this, but I want to see what it's like to play music that has a lot of merry notes in it. And it's like very, very nice. I really like the way that this handles sumeri and himeri. I don't even have to do anything. It does it all the work for me. So I really like that about this flute. Okay, so now I'm going to check out now. I'm going to go to a new piece here, and I'm going to go to Yamamoto Hozan piece. And I want to be playing, let's see here. There's the PDF for that. And I'm going to be playing just the opening of Ichikotsu. And I really enjoy playing this piece for checking out new flutes. Just the first movement. And I think it's nice to play maybe even 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe the first 6 lines of it without the repeat. It's a lot of power in the piece. And also we get both the himeri and the san no u. We also can explore the full range of the instrument and how it works with like a nice powerful melody here. So skipping to the next section, because now I want to check out the tsuchumeris and I want to check out the different key here. We're going to do a modal shift. So I already noticed, like, that's one thing. It's like, that Tsuchumeri doesn't have as much depth, even as much depth as the Tsumeri does, right? So I have to figure out something. How do I get that to be a little bit more resonant on this flute? What does the flute need from me? And maybe that. And it's like, okay, that's nice. I like that. And then there's one final piece that I like to play on this music, and then I'll give you a couple other tips on what else to do with this stuff as well. So we're going to look up the piece Mayudama no Uta, which is by Katsutoshi Nagasawa. And I like this piece because of all the jumps in the music. And there's a specific line that I like to test out here, which is even just right from the opening, actually. Playing everything in the opening is really nice. Okay, and then we have the part which goes into the higher octave. So this, like, on this piece, this flute is extraordinarily good. Another thing we can check in this piece too, if you use this technique a lot, is the double tonguing. And so that first run, just kind of giving it a shot at going with the double tonguing, it doesn't quite speak right away. So let's see if it's user error or if it's something with the flute that it just doesn't speak, it doesn't have a quick reaction to tonguing. So it seems like it was user error. I need to get a little bit closer to that utaguchi. It's my fault for the flute. It's not the flute's issue. And so this is a example of a flute that a reason why I wanted to do it with this one is because this flute just has it all. It really can do everything. So a fantastic Gyokusui one here. Truly, it's incredible. So now let's say you run it through the ringer. It's able to do everything that you want. So what are some other things afterwards that you can do to check to see if this flute really is the perfect fit for you? And so I'll just give you a couple things that I do, and perhaps I might even be able to pull up like a backing track or something like that to kind of show you what I do here. So let me put like we'll say like let's see, sheet music with backing track, play along, because I want to see how does this flute match up with other instruments, right? That's what I'm really, really interested in, and I want to make sure that I can play along with other stuff. So let's see, we'll put flute in the background. And of course, you need to be able to read Western music if you were going to be able to do this, but I think that this is fine. So it's fine here. Maybe let's not do that piece. I had this piece that came up and it was like, oh, maybe we want to play, whatever. So we're going to do just a little bit of Misty here. And then this is also with flute, so we're going to get this C score as well. And so we can kind of play along with this person and see how this matches up. So like for me, like just playing along even with that little bit, I can hear, yeah, this thing is just an immaculate flute that's just right on pitch. Anything I want to play, it's just absolutely killing it. And so this is a really great instrument for even playing with other instruments. And so then what I would do is I would say, take it, if you play with a koto player really often, take it to your rehearsal and play it if you're able to take it along with you. Sometimes we can't do that stuff because you have to keep it in the shop or whatever, but you can always take out your phone and put on a backing track and kind of play along with it just to see how it matches with other music. Because, like, for example, let me just show you like this. So as I just played that example where it's right on with the pitch, right, it fits perfectly. But if I play this row here, right, it's sharp. Now, of course, again, like I said, it's sharp because of the weather outside and whatever. But if I play that same row in the context of music, it actually fits wonderfully and it's right in tune. So sometimes these flutes can really shock you because even though the fundamental might be sharp, all of the overtones are flattened. And so then you actually have a flute that plays really, really well in tune. And I was playing alongside with another flutist. Messed up though to that third note. My cursor was in the way. Darn that cursor. But anyways, I hope that this video was helpful. It's a little bit of a longer one for a lesson, but I really wanted to take this flute through the ringer for you and show you what it really looks like to actually test out a flute. The other thing too that I think I should just mention before we kind of call this video a close is that these flutes take time. And it's not really the answer that we want to hear, but even like a violinist, when they pick up a violin for the first time, they're not going to just be magically married to the fingerboard and know exactly where all the notes are located. They're not going to know how to get the best sound out of it, but they know whether or not they like the instrument. And the same thing is for us. When we play these instruments, we're going to know, like, yeah, I really like this flute and I want to form a relationship with it, that I'm going to get to know it better and better and better. And I'm going to sound even more confident. I'm going to sound better and I'm going to find its voice through with my voice at the same time. And it really is, you have to think of it like a relationship that's going to be a long one. And if you're not willing to spend a long time with an instrument that you're interested in purchasing, then I wouldn't go for it, especially in the case of a professional. But professionals probably aren't watching this video because they already know this. But for yourself, if you're really looking for the next level flute, all right, if you don't have a teacher there to really guide you on this is a fantastic flute and this is going to be one that you should purchase and you should go for it, then really see if you can spend more time with the flute before you buy it, especially if it's something that you haven't had a chance to see yet, but first and foremost, if you have a teacher who's able to recommend these things, that's the best. Have somebody who's been around the shakuhachis for a long time, who's been able to play what's good and what's bad and knows these things really well. That's your go-to. But if you don't have that, you're kind of on your own right now, you're in the shop and you want to try this out and you're really excited about it, do these things and check this out. I think that that's the best option for anybody, and I hope that this video was helpful. And like, subscribe, leave a comment. Tell me what your favorite flute that you've ever played was. What was a magical moment where you walked into a shop or you had a flute sent to you, you took it out of the box and you played it and you're like, wow, this thing is just amazing. Tell me about that experience, because I kind of had that experience with this thing. This thing is really just one of a kind. The Gyokusui, the first, I'm telling you, I've played a lot of his flutes, and I have yet to be disappointed with any one of them. And he was what an incredible maker, and what an incredible family lineage to have. So, with that being said, I'll see you guys next time for another shakuhachi lesson.